He's grown, and I'm grown, right? So how is it any of your business? It's women like you. It's the older, baggage-filled women like you that's always worried about a successful man and what he does. You're worried about a successful man because we don't want you. We don't want you, right? You washed up. You got too much baggage. You got your education and all that, but that's not enough. That's not enough. Successful men don't deal with women.
Okay, so here we got a little bit more Passport Bros news. So as you know, if you're watching my community chat and you're subscribed to my channel, you'll notice that I post Passport Bro news, but I also post Plantation Bro news. The Plantation Bros, those are the guys who decided that they were going to stay here. They weren't going to get their passports. They were going to accept the sloppy seconds. The Plantation Bros hate the Passport Bros. They hate them with a passion. Why? Because the Plantation Bros, these are the guys you see getting hit for these multi-million-dollar divorces, in some case, multi-billion-dollar divorces. These are these guys who decided to stay here. They decided not to get their passports. They decided to accept the sloppy seconds. They decided to stay here and play stepdaddy. They decided to stay here and wife up the single moms. The Plantation Bros hate the Passport Bros. So just so you understand, the plantation, we're talking about the days of slavery, because you got to understand, right now there's a lot of these states, these red states, conservative controlled states, Republican states, and they're trying to wipe out history, basically. They're trying to make it so you don't know nothing about slavery. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make slaves appear to be indentured servants, and it's not the same thing. No, the slaves had no rights. They didn't even have decent food. That's where like soul food comes from, because what it was the scraps. That master at his table, he'd eat up all the ham, but he'd throw all the garbage of the pig. He'd throw that to the slaves. And the slaves had to figure out, how do we cook this garbage and make it better? How do we take this used garbage? How do we take this crap and make it better? So what they do, they say, we're gonna take these pig intestines, we're gonna empty them out. We're going to flush them with vinegar and everything, and then we're going to figure out how to fry these things, these chitlins. We're going to make chitlins. And what else they got? They had the ox tail. Nobody wants no damn ox tail. That's the part of the ox where the ox be farting and shitting, and the tail swipes it left and right and swipes it away. So what they do, they say, you know what? We're going to figure out how to take this oxtail. We're going to make this shit a multi-billion-dollar oxtail industry. And now you go to a Jamaican restaurant, you try to get you some oxtail. That shit's like $30 a plate. And I'm not even joking. It really is. If you go up the block and you go to Jerk Hut or Tropical Jerk, or you go to like any of these jerk chicken restaurants, they sell oxtail, but it costs so much you can't even afford it. The Plantation Bros are doing their best to take master's scraps and turn it into something better. That's what the Plantation Bros do. Now, the Passport Bros, you know how the Subway restaurant, before they had that problem with Jared Fogo, you remember what the logo, you remember what the motto of Subway was? It was eat fresh. We're looking for fresh eggs. We're looking for fresh milk. We're not trying to eat the slop from master's table. The Plantation Bros do that. We don't do that. And they hate us for it. So they get mad. They call you simps, tricks. They say all types of things. Oh, you tricking and all this. And then they take their money and they go wife up a single mom, just like Jeff Bezos, But they calling everybody else tricks and simps. But they're wifing up single moms. So we don't do that. We don't accept that. We don't support that. We don't endorse that. We don't do that. Those are the Plantation Bros. Now, the Passport Bros going on to these other countries. We're getting our passports going to Colombia, going to Medellin, going to Brazil, going to Dominican Republic. going to Puerto Rico. Well, no, they don't really go to Puerto Rico. That's a Commonwealth of America. You do not want to be too close to America. The further away from America you get, the better. And that's when you experience what life is supposed to be like. China, Japan, South Korea, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand. Yeah, so basically it's kind of like that. Now, I'm not saying that the passport bros can't go to Puerto Rico. It's just that you got to go to the jungles of Puerto Rico. Like, you got to go to the parts of Puerto Rico where it's like Native American, like Taíno women are. You can't go to the cities and stuff like that. You got to go to the down under parts, But that's a story for later. But in this story, we're talking about Colombia. Colombia. Passport bros may see paradise while Colombians see the shadows of Colombia's dark history in Miguel Uribe, I guess it's Uribe or Uribe Torbai's death. And this is written by, I guess it's Giselle Gomez. I guess that's a guy, I'm not really sure. But it doesn't really matter. It says, cruelty calculated and cold has once again revealed the tangled truth of Colombia. The country that now markets itself as a paradise for tourists and attracts opportunistic passport bros carries within it a bitter history that refuses to fade. It is a place that works tirelessly to loosen the grip of its violent past, yet continues to stumble. History, to the horror of many, is playing out again. A history tied to the legacy of Pablo Escobar. A man unworthy of the glorification granted by those too ignorant to understand the destruction he caused, and the same man whose brutality shaped my own path away from Colombia. His shadow now stretches into the death of a political figure whose candidacy carried something rare in Colombian public life: hope. So this person's named Miguel Uribe Torbay. Despite his ties to former President Alvaro Uribe, seemingly carried no cruelty in his heart, his life had already been shaped by loss when his mother, journalist Diana Torbay Quintero, was killed under Escobar's orders. 34 years later, Miguel has been shot dead, leaving Colombia in fear of what comes next while the government hesitates in its response. Those who have lived through such moments know how quickly the country can descend into chaos. Now, first of all, understand something. I got to stop right here because I like to interject. I haven't been to South America yet. And for those of you who follow my channel for a long time and you're not new here, you understand why. First of all, South America is too close to the United States of America. Lots of guns, lots of violence, lots of problems down there. The drug trade that America has fueled, and the CIA here has overthrown governments and has worked to undermine governments down there, has created a situation where it's just not safe. Now, you know what's so funny? I go all the way over to the other side of the world. I go to Singapore. Singapore executes drug dealers. In fact, Singapore executes drug users in some cases. But you go to those countries, you go to Thailand, it's safe. You don't hear about passport bros being drugged in Thailand or Singapore. You never hear about that. If they even possessed scopolamine, that's a death sentence. When you go to Thailand, when you're in the airport, if you've been to Thailand, you've probably seen they have signs. They literally have signs that I've taken pictures of them. It says drugs equals death, and they're warning you. They're saying you better not come here and start no shit because it's not going to go well for you, period. I believe Philippines, they may have backed off of Rodrigo Duterte's policies, but the bottom line is Rodrigo Duterte literally had his police killing drug offenders. China, Russia, Japan, I believe, all of them have had the death penalty. They do not tolerate drug trades. They don't tolerate it. Now, China did it partially because of the Opium Wars, which the British funded, by the way. The British kept that going. And it's funny, when you go to this side of the world over here, you go to the other side of the world, the other side of the globe, you got to fly 9,000 miles. But you go to the other side of the globe, it's a whole nother list of rules. They're very intolerant of crimes against the people. They're extremely intolerant. Meanwhile, you come over here to America, what do you got? You got chaos in Haiti. You got chaos in South America. You got chaos in America because a lot of those people from Venezuela have made their ways up to America. Why? Because we put sanctions on their government. They can't even sell their oil. You got chaos in Brazil. You got chaos in Mexico. Now you go to the other side of the world. You don't see chaos in Bali. You don't see chaos in Indonesia. You don't see chaos in Japan. You don't see chaos in China. You don't see chaos in South America. You don't see chaos in Thailand. You don't see chaos in Myanmar. That's a country we don't really talk about. Nobody really goes there because it's just not, they don't advertise. You don't see chaos in Laos. In fact, the last time you really heard about chaos in that area was when America was there. World War II, onwards to the Vietnam War. You don't hear about that no more. If you go over there now, those places, and it's funny because American media don't show you those places. That's why you got to get your passport, you got to travel. You go to those countries over there, these cities are modernized. They've got the newest of new technology. They get it from China. They've got electric cars. They've got some charging infrastructure. It's not the best. But, it's like they're over there working. You don't hear gunshots randomly and shit constantly. You just don't. Now, yes, there are some countries that are at war. But even over there, they try to do their best to resolve these conflicts. And there's no middleman America or there's no middleman British in there, and these people resolve their conflicts. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. But you come over here to this side of the world. Let's see. Oh, gee, I'd love to go to Haiti for vacation. Oh, nope, can't do that. Them people are starving down there. But wait a minute. They're in this hemisphere, and America's, rich and everything. Why are they starving? Gee, I wonder. Well, okay, maybe I go to Mexico. Nope, can't go to Mexico. Nope, don't go there. They have to, first of all, they're kicking black people out of Mexico, and if you're white, they try to kidnap you. Oh, no, can't go there. No. Okay, maybe I go to Argentina. I wanted to go to Argentina. You know what said don't go to Argentina? I believe it was the female vice president. They tried to blow her head off in the crowd. And then you start hearing, you're like, wait a minute, Argentina's got tremendous economic problems. Oh, I can't go down there. They might try to kidnap my ass. I'm just going down there because I want to see the countryside and have some of that Argentinian beef. Nope, can't go there. No. So we've got Colombia, we got Brazil, and we've got Dominican Republic. Those are the main hotspots over here that the passport bros are going to. But, this drug trade thing has basically made it so, you got to be real careful because you never know. Somebody might try to scopolamine you, drug you, blow some dust in your face, take your goddamn bags, take your suitcase, your Rolex. First of all, you'd have to be stupid to wear a Rolex down there. I wouldn't even feel comfortable wearing my Apple Watch. But it's like, it's funny, on this side, in this hemisphere, it's like Americans, we really can't go nowhere. The Canadians don't want us. Canada doesn't want us coming there. Why? Well, the president said, yeah, we're going to raise tariffs on Canada. Because, Canada's not paying their fair share. We're going to raise the tariffs on Canada. The Canadians don't even want us going up there. Like, is there anywhere we can like actually just, go and have a good time? Well, it ain't in this hemisphere. Nope. So, smart passport bros. What you do is you get your passport, you go to the other side of the planet. You get as far away from here as possible. Let me tell you something. If I had the Starship Enterprise, I'd be on fucking Mars right now. I'd be out of here. I'd be out of here. I'd leave all this shit. You can have my house. I don't give a fuck. I'd be on Mars right now. But unfortunately, we don't have that technology just yet. Maybe by the time, I'm old, who knows. But no, there's certain places we just can't go. But the places that we are going, these places are rife with chaos. I wonder why. Let's see. It says the loss of Diana Torbay. It says Miguel Uribe Torbay, I'm just going to call him Miguel from now on, was 5 years old when his mother Diana was killed during a failed rescue attempt after being kidnapped by a group working for Escobar in 1991. As if drawn by a cruel symmetry, Miguel's son Alejandro, that's a Lady Gaga song. I like that song. It says, now says goodbye to his father at the same age, also taken by gunfire in a country where violence remains relentless. Now, it's funny? When I go over to China, you don't hear about gunfire and fucking shootings constantly. You don't. Like, you can go to the ATM at 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't worry about none of that. When I go to Japan, you don't hear about the Yakuza shooting up everything. You don't hear about that. Every now and then, maybe somebody gets executed. But it's usually like a very, very, very isolated incident. You don't hear about this in South Korea. You don't hear about this in, Bali. Philippines, however, has maintained close ties to America. Philippines, they have a lot of gun violence. When you go to Philippines, everybody's walking around with a 45 caliber 1911 on their hip. And if it's not that, whenever you see guns, you see American guns there. Not in China, not in Japan. I mean, every now and then you see the special forces. Maybe they have them, but you don't hear about this shit going on over there. They don't want their country rife with violence. They don't want that. Oh, anyway. Says Diana, then director of the Krypton. That's like Superman. Krypton. Maybe it's Krypton. Yeah. It says news program, and the magazine Hoy X Hoy was lured into a trap under the pretense of interviewing guerrilla leader Father Manuel Perez of the ELN. On August 30th, 1990, she left Bogota with 5 other reporters. Only minutes after entering the jungles, well, that was your mistake right there. You're not supposed to go into the jungle, of Copacabana, the meeting point for what was supposed to be a special report. The group was met by a man who warned them with chilling words, "There is no Father Perez. You are in the hands of Los Extraditables." Los Extraditables. Okay. According to El Tiempo, they spent 148 days in captivity, a period during which Colombia united in an outcry against the violence. A rescue that ended in tragedy. Okay, on January 25th, 1991, a police helicopter flew over the Antiochian countryside where Diana was being held. The sight was enough for her and her cameraman to attempt an escape. What they did not know was that their captors had strict orders that they couldn't be rescued alive. Before reaching the top of the slope that could have led to freedom, Diana was shot in the back. Though she was rushed to a hospital, she died from her wounds. Diana had been documenting her captivity, recording the pain and fear alongside small rays of hope each morning as she thought of her family. She knew she was being held by hitmen of the Medellin cartel who sought to pressure the government of President Cesar Gaviria by kidnapping high-profile figures to prevent the extradition of cartel leaders. In those writings, she described the difficulty of being far from her children, Miguel and Maria. One time I was in a room, and on the other side of the door I heard some children. I begged my captors to open it so I could play with them. Miguel recounted to Bocas magazine. My question is, what does this have to do with the passport bros? But I'm pretty sure they're going to get to it sooner or later. And by the way, I was just thinking about the fact that Nayib Bukele of El Salvador, supposedly, he's locked up all of the criminals. And supposedly, El Salvador is supposed to be safe to go to right now. So if I were going to go to South America, that might be one of the places I would consider. And I believe the other one might be Costa Rica, because I heard that they've cleaned that place up. I also heard Panama is okay. But, watch your pockets. But anyway, okay. Let's see. It says... Yeah, come on. It says, throughout his political career, Miguel often spoke of his mother as a great influence. From her position in journalism, she acted as a bridge in peace talks between the government and illegal armed groups. Those who knew her believed it inevitable that she would go to the supposed meeting with Father Perez, not to chase an exclusive, but to open the door to a dialogue that could silence the guns. Both mother and son wanted the stories of Colombians, including their own, to be written far from fear and without the echo of bullets. Yet, fate delivered the same cruel ending to the Torbay family with the same brutality that claimed Diana's life decades ago. So basically, you're a sucker, and you basically thought that things were going to be different, and of course they were not. I'm trying to understand what this has got to do with Passport Bro. What the hell? This story can't be over, and it looks like Gazelle is, or Gazelle, whatever, is a woman. It says Gazelle Gomez is the editor-in-chief for B Latina News. She is a Colombian immigrant based in Miami, Florida. Oh, smart thing moving here, right? Gomez writes about politics and current affairs, culture, and issues affecting underrepresented communities. When she's not writing, you can find her traveling, reading, or expanding her foodie knowledge. Yeah, what does this have to do with Passport Bros? I do not see the connection. Is that the end of the story? Because it looks like it is, and this has, like, nothing to do with Passport Bros. I think I've been suckered into a news story that has, like, nothing that has to do with Passport Bros. Because, see, I didn't read this before I started, actually reading it for the recording. But it says Passport Bros may see paradise while Colombians see the shadows of Colombia's dark history and Miguel Uribe. This has absolutely nothing to do with Passport Bros. Like, I think you just catfished me into learning history or something. Because, like, this has nothing to do with Passport Bros. I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed. Let's see what's going on in Colombian news. YouTuber Mr. Beast after clean water project reaches forgotten region. So Mr. Beast is bringing clean water. Okay. I don't watch Mr. Beast and I don't follow him, but, you got to give applause where applause is due. Thank you, Mr. Beast. What is this? Meet Camilo Cifuentes, the anonymous influencer, feeding Colombia one meal at a time. Okay, that's good. Feeding people is a good thing. Historic brain surgery to treat depression. Okay, that sounds good. That's good. That's a good thing. I don't see anything else about the Passport Bros. I think I've been suckered into a story that has nothing to do with the Passport Bros. Okay, well, all right, I guess that's the story number one. So let's see if there's anything else.
I do not think I have ever seen you quite so tongue-tied.
Not yet, at least. I hope you aren't easily chilled. Do you think someone might see us?
Maybe.
Do you care?
Not at all.
Okay, so there's absolutely no other stories about the Passport Bros, but as you saw coming in, maybe we could talk about age gap relationships. So obviously older women hate age gap relationships because it doesn't benefit them at all. And I believe that after all, assimilating all this information that I've seen from the news, they're really, really, I guess, disappointed, annoyed, or frightened by the fact that so many young men are abstaining from dating and are abstaining from marriage. Young men are actually focusing on video games, and young men are, in the interim, they're getting their careers. And by getting their careers, they are growing up without having to pay women's bills, and they are keeping so much of this money that they have so much more money to spend on themselves. So now you've got these young men who are turning into older men, and these older men have so much money at that point that now they're able to, quote-unquote, prey on younger women. And these younger women are over the age of 18, so it should have nothing to do with anybody else. It's like this is a legal coupling. This is totally above board. It's totally legal. So why should anybody be talking about it? Well, it's because some people don't want to see you eat fresh. The plantation bros do not want to see you eating fresh. Old women do not want to see you eating fresh. It's just that simple. So what do we got here? It says, okay, here's a story that popped up in the UK. The perfect age gap if you want a relationship to last. Here's what it says. From TikTok trends to Bumble matches, shocking truth between why Gen Z women are dating older men. Before I even open that or consider opening that, I can tell you it's because Gen Z women want stable men, and older men happen to be more stable. You know why? Because they're mature in their careers. And, they've got pensions being built. They've got Social Security money coming. So, yeah, they're stable. What's this? It says how Kabir Bedi's I don't know who that is. It must be somebody in like India or something. But how Kabir Bedi's marriage to woman younger than his daughter redefined age gap debate. Oh, okay. So they saw you dating somebody younger than your daughter, so they felt that they had to chime in. That's got nothing to do with you. It's none of your business. Don't worry about it. What's the age gap between Sanaya Chandhawk and Arjun Tendulkar? You won't believe the answer. You know what? I have to find out. Now that they've suckered me into another stupid story, I have to find out the answer. What is the gap? What's the gap? It says, okay, so it says Arjun Tendulkar is engaged to Sania Chandhawk. And the fans keep talking about the similarity in age gap in his marriage to his father, Sachin Tendulkar. Here is all you should know about the couple. Let's see what's the age gap. That's all I'm interested in. Arjun Tendulkar was born in 1999, is 25 years old, and Sania is 26? So, wait a minute. She's older by a year. This forms an age gap of slightly more than a year, with Sania as the elder. Man, this guy right here must be a plantation bro. This guy just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. We're going to stop with that story. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back over here. This other story says, I'm 23 and single. Why are so many men looking for women my mother's age? Okay, well, I'll answer that question really quickly. First of all, a lot of these dudes, they are, they're working. They're in their careers working. But a lot of these dudes are stuck in their mommy's house. And the problem with being an adult in your parents' house is either you're going to be a daughter and you're going to be living in your daddy's attic, or you're going to be a son and you're going to be living in mommy's basement. Now, the problem with that is, I don't know if y'all read that story about Oedipus Rex. Yeah, well, you don't want to be in that situation. So here's the thing. Some of these dudes have mommy issues, real serious, bad mommy issues. I'm almost afraid to touch that story. Well, I'm gonna do it because, I'm not... It says I'm 23 and single. Why are so many men looking for women my mother's age? First of all, men are not looking for women your mother's age. If they are, there's a simple term that I could use to say why, and that term is practice. Those men are looking for practice, and that's the reason. Because they know that, for the most part, nothing is going to come of that relationship because she's so much older. We're not talking about President Macron and his wife Brigitte that are currently suing Candace Owens because Candace Owens claims that she's a man. And she, you know what? To me, she looks just like that female on Planet of the Apes, the female ape. That's what she looks like to me. I'm just saying that's what she looks like. But the thing about it is, these younger men have mommy issues and they're looking for practice. It's two things. So let me see. I just want to look at this real quick because I don't want to have to read this. It says, hoping I can find my way out of this conversational cul-de-sac, I offered him another drink, commenting on the quality of the warm wine I was reluctantly consuming, but no, the topic of my 52-year-old mother. And yes, her undeniable good looks proceeded to be drawn out to such a painful context. So basically, you're sitting there talking to this guy, and he keeps talking about your 52-year-old mom. Wow. That is terrible. Let's see, anything else? It says, when it comes to dating norms, my male friend's fondness for middle-aged women is no longer an exception. A 25-year-old friend told me that the guy she was seeing, who was already 3 years younger than her, had dumped her for someone in their late 30s. Oh my God. So he's working opposite. He's going up. Yo, that's crazy. He's rejected me for a MILF. These guys, a lot of these, if you don't move out of your mommy, mark my words, if you don't move out of your mommy's house before you're like 25, you're going to end up having mommy issues and you're going to be looking for MILFs, and you don't want that. You're going to be in mommy's attic a little too long, mommy's basement a little too long. You don't want that. It's not the age gap per se that's horrifying. It's that dating is hard enough as it is without now having to compete with a demographic of women far more romantically mature. And you know what I think, you know what else is what's doing it to these young men? It's these damn teachers. You got these female teachers who are showing it all. And these young men are, these are young boys, and they're very impressionable. And the problem is they teachers are busting it open. And there's some of the teachers, they got OnlyFans. Some of the teachers got Instagram pages. And, you know, they be on there acting like they praising God and everything. Oh, yes, God is merciful, blah, blah, blah. And then the very next picture, they posted feet photos. And you're just seeing a little bit too much. I fear for the young men of the future. I fear for them. I really do. What is this? And it's not just hot midlifers who are swamping our dating pool. Appearing on Radio 4 broadcasting on Sunday morning, veteran stage actress Sheila Hancock explained that at 92, she won't be getting married for a third time. Yeah, I would doubt that you would, because at 92, you're like a bag of bones. But anyway, because I only want 18-year-old boys and they're not going to be interested. This is just shameful. This is absolutely shameful. When I asked a male friend what it was about older women that makes them so attractive, the only answer I got was because they're hot. Wow. That's scary, man. That is scary. And it says whether it's surgical tweakment out of a bottle or from lifestyle changes, the baton of beauty can be clung to by boomers and Gen Xers, with women aging gracefully. Young men can see all the perks of a middle-aged partner and none of the wrinkles. No, these young men have mommy issues, and they've been living in mommy's basement too long. And maybe, who knows, maybe they were breastfed too long. Maybe they were breastfed till they were like 6. Because I've seen some of the, you know what, that's the new hustle on YouTube. A lot of these women, what they're doing is they're making these breastfeeding videos, and YouTube allows them to continue to be monetized. And there was one who I used to follow. Her name was Spiritual Tasha Mama. And the thing about it is they're doing this for monetization, and then they're shaming the corporations who are saying, no, we can't allow you having breasts being shown. And the thing about it is they claim it's educational, and the reality is they're just doing it for the money. And if that don't work, they're going to OnlyFans. So YouTube, I guess, must have said, you know what? We can't demonetize them because they'll leave. And if they leave, they're going to take all the attention with them. So I guess they said, okay, we'll just make it, we'll call it educational with quotes, because I'm doing that thing with my fingers with the quotes. You can't see it. But that's OnlyFans... OnlyFans is stealing all the goddamn, they're stealing everything. They're stealing all the attention and everything. And I don't blame them. Because when I see somebody who's a YouTuber who has 860,000 subscribers, but when they put a video out, they get less than 20,000 views per video, that tells me that something's wrong. I'll just leave it at that for right now. So let's look at this one right here. It says, from TikTok trends to Bumble matches, shocking truth behind why Gen Z women are dating older men. All it is the money. They want those stupid Gucci, Prada, and Femi and Tory Burch bags. They want all that stupid garbage. They want to be able to take your credit card and shop at Marshalls or TJ Maxx or Home Goods or whatever it is. And they just want to be, that's all they want to do. They don't even want to work. And they figured that, oh, well, he's got gray hair and he's rich. I could get it from him. Yeah. So Gen Z has long been stereotyped as the generation rewriting the rules of love, sex, and relationship. They're not rewriting anything. This stuff has already existed. All they're doing is filming it and putting it on YouTube and putting it on TikTok and putting it on OnlyFans. That's the only difference between now and before. 2007, iPhone came out, and now we have everybody's walking around with a 4K camera in their pocket. Everybody's a journalist. Everybody is a movie producer right out of their pocket. That's the difference. This stuff was going on forever. But anyway, it says, now a new twist emerging. Many young women are finding themselves increasingly open to dating older partners. Yeah, okay, that's not new. And not because they're buying into retro notions of power, imbalance, or wealth. Instead, they say it's about compatibility, maturity, and values. Yeah, right. And this story is by Shivaji Sharma. Is that a man or a woman? I don't know. Let me push close on this. Oh, it's a woman. Of course it's a woman. Yep. Shivaji Sharma. That's her. So Shivaji Sharma is about to tell us all about age gap relationships. Shivaji Sharma is a senior sub-editor at the Daily Jagran. So this must be like an Indian newspaper or something. She writes for the news desk, and her roles involve tracking and writing world news stories. Prior to this, she was associated with the Economic Times International. Shivanji completed her graduation in journalism and mass communication from Amity University, Noida. I don't know where that is, but it's done in Hindi, so I'm assuming this is India. Okay, so let's see. Shivaji's going to tell us all about it. Okay, instead they say it's about compatibility, maturity, and values. According to a dating app, Bumble, Gen Blend relationships are on the rise, with 63% of users reporting they're comfortable dating outside their age group. Because you ain't got no choice. You can't afford a house. You can't afford your rent. You can't afford your Gucci, Prada, Femi, and Tory Burch. You can't afford none of that. You ain't got no choice. If the dudes your age had that kind of money, yeah, you'd be with them. The problem is it takes men so long to get settled and matured in their careers that they end up in their 30s before they have that kind of money. So these 30-year-old men are dating these 18, 19, 20-year-old women. Okay? It's not that complicated. It says Gen Z women are leaning progressive and outspoken, while Gen Z men are showing signs of moving towards conservatism. If you think Gen Z men are moving towards conservatism, what the hell do you think the millennial men are? I'm a millennial man. I consider myself conservative. I don't consider myself to be one of these Trump sycophant ass kissers that are in the Republican Party, who are so terrified of their constituents who know where they live, loading up their AR-15 and coming after them if they don't allow Trump to do everything he wants. That's not what I am. I do consider myself conservative on many issues, but I'm not that. Now, this is India that we're talking about. So conservatism in India looks different than it does here in America. Now, I would imagine a lot of these Indian young men are influenced by social media, but even their social media influence is probably not the same as it is here in America. So anyway, for many young women, that mismatch is making it harder to find common ground with male peers. So that's really stupid. So what you're basically saying is that because the men my age are leaning conservative, I'm going to ignore them and I'm going to date the more conservative millennial male. But we already understand it's because of the money. That's what it really comes down to. In fact, I'd argue that the age gap relationship is a sign of conservatism. Older men, younger women. You're dealing with a country where women have dowries and bride prices. They have bride prices in these countries. You gotta trade some cattle in order to get into her pants, basically. So that is conservatism. So you're basically going after older men. That's basically what this is. But anyway, numbers tell the story. The data backs up the disconnect. Only 56% of Gen Z report having had a romantic relationship in their teens, compared to 78% of boomers, 76% of Gen X, and 61% of millennials. That's not a dip, it's a nosedive. Experts point to a complex mix of factors. Economic instability. Of course, that was the first one. Economic instability. You can't afford your rent. You can't afford a house. You can't afford your Gucci Prada Femi bag. You can't afford your Tory Burch. You can't afford your Mercedes GLC. You can't even afford the Mercedes GLA because the insurance is too high. And the job that you're looking to get, because you know what? There's another story out there on the horizon that I really haven't heard talked about. A lot of women are losing jobs right now because as the government is cutting back a lot of these federal jobs, a lot of these cushy office jobs, a lot of women are losing their jobs right now. Maybe I'll save that story for another day. So it's getting harder and harder for them. As I've said before, the economy's kicking their ass. So anyway, experts point to a complex mix of factors. Yes, economic instability, lower mobility, fewer teens drive because you can't afford your cars. You can't afford the car notes. You can't afford the car insurance. And the replacement of in-person interactions with digital ones. But the growing gender incompatibility in Gen Z itself appears to be another key piece of the puzzle. Pop culture caution. Films and TV shows are now hyper-cautious around age gap dynamics. Today's audiences mostly see couples of similar ages, a striking departure from decades when older man, younger woman romances were treated as the norm. No, but see, that's the problem. The illusion is Hollywood. That's the problem. That's the illusion. Hollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood, whatever you want to call it, that's the illusion. You're not getting a big house and a big car from a man your age. It's not going to happen. That man your age is looking for a younger woman. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. Now, you know what? I think it's appropriate for me to tell this story because in Asia specifically, because this happened in Asia, they have a concept in China, and they call it shengnu. Shengnu basically means leftover women. So basically what you got these guys who are in their careers and getting older, and they're going after younger women because they absolutely refuse to date the women who are over 25, and they refuse to marry them. Now in China, that term is shengnu. In South Korea, they refer to the same thing. They refer to those women as dirty dishes. In Japan, however, let me tell you something. The Japanese are brutal. What the Japanese do, the Japanese call these women Christmas cakes. Why? Because after World War II, their economy was decimated, so they couldn't get access to sugar. So if you did have access to sugar, it was customary to give somebody a gift of cake. Because now you were showing them, okay, we don't have a lot of sugar, but I've got this sugar. I put it together. I made you a cake. The problem was that the Japanese, they don't eat all that sweets and stuff. The Japanese eat a lot of seafood. So if you give them too many cakes, they're not going to eat all that cake. They can't because, Japanese people tend to be thin. They don't eat all that cake. That's too much sweets. They're going to get diabetes. You don't want all that leftover cake. You don't want that. So what ends up happening is the Japanese, they're saying is if the woman's over 25, that's like the date of Christmas, December 25th. She's no good after December 25th. So basically what they're saying is Christmas cake is no good after the 25th, after 25 years old. Now, if you were to ask a Japanese man, and you ask him, you say, hey, excuse me, why are the Japanese men why are there so many leftover women in Japan? Why are y'all going to Indonesia, Myanmar, Burma. Why are y'all going down south looking for these younger women? Why don't you just date the women who are over 25-year-old country? Why don't you marry a Christmas cake? Well, that Japanese man, he's going to get upset. He's going to get very, very angry with you. He's going to get quite upset because he's not trying to hear that. You know what? That Japanese man is going to turn to you and he's going to say, "No! No, want the Christmas carol! No! No! No, want the Christmas carol!" So back to the story. It says, power balance is key. Still, for everyday Gen Z daters, the rise of Gen Blend relationships doesn't appear rooted in outdated notions of power and control, but rather in finding equal footing. The rule of thumb, as relationship experts stress, is simple. Age gaps are only healthy when power dynamics are balanced. There's no such thing as balanced power dynamics in an age gap relationship. This is that feminist talk nonsense. There's no such thing as evenly yoked. Understand this. I understand that your churches have been lying to you for years, and I understand that a lot of this programming has seeped into your mind. There's no such thing as equally yoked anything. There's no such thing. Men and women are not equals. They're not. I could argue that men are either easily, first of all, physically, there's no challenge. We know men are physically stronger. In this society, what they're trying to do is they're trying to argue that women should be paid the same as men, despite the fact that men do more work. Men do the heavier, difficult, dangerous, and dirty jobs. That's why so many men die working. When you go to a construction site, you see the men building everything. You see the men digging. You see the men building. You see the men moving blocks and bricks and shit around like it's big Legos. When you see the women carrying a sign. Yeah, you can't go this way. A stop sign, a yield sign. You don't see the women lifting shit. I have never in my life seen women building anything. Never. Ever. When I've passed by construction sites, I whip out my camera and I wait a minute. The men are sweating. The men are all dirty and everything. They got mud all over them. The women up there, they're all clean and prim and proper, and they carry a construction sign. Why would you be getting paid the same that I'm getting paid when I'm literally breaking my bones and wearing down my muscles in order to build the society of the future? Why would you get paid the same? The answer is no. So anyway, I could stick on that, but I'm not gonna. There's no such thing as a power balance. There's no such thing as a power balance. There's no such thing as evenly yoked at all. Get that terminology out of your mouth. What is it? The rule of thumb, as relationship experts stress, is simple. Age gaps are only healthy when power dynamics are balanced, which they never are. Nobody needs a primer on why some famous May December couplings feel ick. They don't feel ick to the couple, so why are you worried about it? Mind your business. But equally, not every relationship with a gap is doomed. For Gen Z women, the deciding factor isn't the number on a driver's license, but whether a partner respects their independence, shares their outlook, and matches their maturity. Oh my God, that's it? You know, I'm so disgusted with this new age journalism. It's like AI might as well be writing these stories. You've got these stories. They write these stories. It's like short, and it doesn't even like cover like everything. It's like it's ridiculous. It's like this is clickbait. But that's that. So basically, I have to fill in the story myself because they're not going to do it. There's no such thing as equally yoked. There's no such thing as power balance at all. You know what happens in balances of power? You know what happens? You get divorced. That's what happens because the woman's like, you know what? I don't need you. So I'm going to take my stuff and I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to the courts and then I'm going to take half of your stuff too. There's no such thing as equally yoked. There's no such thing as power balance. In most of these countries, the courts... the courts typically look out for the kids, but typically they rule in the man's favor. In America, they rule in the woman's favor. And that's part of the reason why men in America do not want to get married anymore. It's too much of a risk. You have to, I'll probably leave you with this. Men are evolved, just like women are, to be hunter-gatherers. The men did the hunting, and they also did the gathering, but they had the women there to help them gather stuff. The women did not do the hunting. Yeah, sometimes you hear these stories. Oh, yes, the women, oh, she was the female prowess and she went out on the hunt. Let me tell you something. Don't let movies like Prey, where the woman is able to beat the predator, and the predator just killed up all the Europeans, he killed up all the Indian men. Please don't let those movies twist your mind. That didn't happen. That's science fiction. Okay, no, the men did the hunting, and the women were back at the teepee taking care of the kids. The man would kill the animal, and he'd bring a nice slab of meat home, and the woman was cooking it, and the man got his fill, and the women cut the pieces off for the kids got their fill, and that was life. The men were hunter-gatherers, which means they collected shit. That's why men have this urge to collect stuff. If you go in my basement, that shit looks like Toys R Us. I've got a collection. I got Hess trucks. I got Transformers. I got Exo Squad figures. Shit, I even started collecting cars. I got both my cars as silver. I got collected silver cars now. I was looking at getting another one. I was thinking about getting a Mercedes S-Class in silver. Men have some kind of fucking habit where we collect shit. It's like everything is a collection. I don't know what it is, but it's genetic and it's evolution. We are collecting stuff. But here's the problem, though. Divorce in America is the one aspect of life where a man is risking his collection. Half of your shit can be literally taken from you forcibly, not by the woman, but by the courts. See, the woman, the courts could say, oh yeah, well, you're going to lose one of your houses. I've got 2 houses. Or you're going to lose one of your cars. I've got 2 cars. Or you're going to lose, what else do I have 2 of? I mean, I've got some, what else do I got? Or let's say you've got dogs. Yeah, you're going to lose one of your dogs. Half of your shit is going to her. Yeah, they could say that, but the woman would never be able to make good on that, because if she came to your house unarmed, even if she was armed, she could come to your house. She ain't going to be able to take nothing. The courts send the police to take half your shit. Or they send the police to put you out of your property and lock the fucking door behind you. See, the women would never be able to pull that off. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you can order Jeff Bezos to give up half his money. You can threaten him and say, yeah, we're going to garnish your wages forever. And she's going to get billions of dollars. Mackenzie Scott's going to get billions of dollars. Yeah, the courts could do that. But if the courts told Mackenzie Scott, yeah, you can go over to his house and he has to give you half of his stuff. Yeah, that's it. And Mackenzie Scott showed up at Jeff Bezos' house, demanded half of his shit. Do you think she'd get it? Oh, no. I'm fairly certain she would not get that. That's the problem. The power imbalance is in the government. It's not, the government is force. The government is force. If you came to my house, demanded half my shit, wait, where's my Desert Eagle? Hold on just 1 second. Wait, where is it? Right here. Hold on, 1 second. Where is it? Let me just pull this out of this case right here. Wait, let me just get that. You come to my house, you demanded half my shit. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, let me see. What we got right here? What we got? Yeah, you hear that? Yeah. If you came to my house, demanded half my shit, oh yeah, this would be out of the box real quick. But that's not how it works. They send the police to take half your shit. And then they don't just send one, they send a bunch. And usually around here, they send the sheriff to take half your shit. That's the power imbalance. The government is force. I don't know if I can make it any simpler for all of these PhDs and all these fucking self-proclaimed geniuses who went to these bullshit liberal arts colleges and they got these degrees that have now put you so deep into debt that you can't even afford to buy houses like I've got. I don't know if I can make it simpler for you. That's the problem. That's why you have the men pulling away from relationships. That's why you have the men pulling away from dating. That's why you have the men pulling away from marriage. That's why the women on TikTok, where are all the good men at? There's a power imbalance because of the system, the government, the system. So I hope that I've made it as clear as I could for you, because I had to walk you through that, because some of you are stupid, and some of you got PhDs, but you're not that smart. And some of you are buried in student loan debt, and you're never getting out of it. I'm just going to say it just like that. Some of you are never getting out of that student loan debt because you decided to go to a party school to get a useless liberal arts degree. But that's basically the answer right there. That's the problem. Is there a solution? Probably not. Well, the Federal Reserve is not going to lower these interest rates. The Federal Reserve has left you buried in debt at high interest rate, and they're not going to lower it. And if they do lower it, because I know you're going to wait until they lower it like 0.01, and you're going to be like, oh, you see, they lowered it. It's like, yeah, okay, so I guess you feel rich now, huh? No, the days of 0% interest are over. We're not going back to 3% home loans. It's not happening. What else? Your student loans, what is it the federal government charge you? What, 7.625 or something like that right now? 6.825? Yeah, we're not going back to ZERP. We're not going back to zero interest rates. We're not going back to ZERP. We're not going back to it. You're in trouble. Yes. AI is coming to take your job. My recommendation to you, my solution, fix your credit, keep your credit pristine, make sure you get some car insurance, and make sure you build your car insurance so that your rates will go down as much as you can get them to go down in the amount of time, because you're going to have like 5 years of good driving. And you're also going to have to do that defensive driving bullshit. Because as far as I'm concerned, that was a waste of my time. And the way I see it is defensive driving really needs to teach these dumbass kids how to talk to police so that you don't get beat up. And you understand that when you get into that car, you've signed implicit consent, which means that you're supposed to show your license and you're not supposed to give them lip. But the bottom line is you need to build up your insurance. You need to build up your FICO score. You definitely need to get your passport. And if you do those things and you work in your career, you too can be a high value man. Yes, you can. It can happen for you. A lot of men right now are dropping away from relationships, and they're dropping away from college. You know what that's causing? That's causing the school industrial complex is collapsing slowly, because now they're seeing fewer and fewer enrollees. They're seeing fewer and fewer attendees. The women are still going, but they're driving up debt. And they think that, oh yeah, well, I'll get this PhD, I'll get this master's degree, and then I'll get married and he'll have to pay for it. No, that's not how it works anymore. The men have pulled back. The men have pulled away from all that. So, those were the stories. I'm very disappointed in the news. I'm very disappointed in the stories. I think this journalism is shoddy. And I think AI is partially to blame, because nobody's going to tell me that these clowns wrote half of this stuff. If you ask for percentages, and you ask for statistics, ChatGPT will give it right to you and everything. But nobody's going to tell me these morons really did the research. I don't believe it. They wrote these shoddy, short stories. You can't even really talk about this stuff that much. So I end up having to fill in all the blanks. But that's where we are. So that's it for right now. Got three decent news stories, and they're all pointed in the exact same direction. The bottom line is, if I had to sum it all up into one sentence, men, get your passports.
Oh, wow. I've never seen hair like that. Wow. Oh, no, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
To be continued.